Welcome to Viewpoint with MediaShippers. Our today's guest is Mr. Ajinkya Takawale, founder and AI Head Mixio. Welcome, Ajinkya.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Friends, stories are evolving. Creation is accelerating. But for stories to truly matter, they need to be discovered, distributed, and valued. And that's the area where MediaShipper help content maker and buyer. Our today's guest is very special, Ajinkya. Well, in today's evolving entertainment space, I'm happy to have you for this quick discussion and Viewpoint with MediaShippers. I have different set of questions coming from curiosity, coming naturally a person who like to get more learning about the AI dynamics and the way AI has changed its dynamics in terms of filmmaking. I have a lot of questions. To start with this, first of all, warm welcome in Viewpoint with MediaShippers. Can I start with this simple, I won't call it this as an introduction, but just wanted to say, from script written by human to stories generated by machine, we have already entered into a new era of storytelling. So when I say this, when I mention this, the first thing which just strike to my head is that filmmaking with the AI interface is completely changed. Your initial thoughts on that?
Yes, that's quite true. Like there are many people who are experimenting with AI generated long form video content as such, be it short films, be it micro drama and so on, even full feature length films, like the ones you have seen. Narsiha is a very good example of that. The discussion has clearly moved away from generating advertisement AI videos or any form of short AI videos that we usually see on Instagram, and people are discovering its true potential to, cut the cost in half, accelerate the production by a lot of margin, and deliver the kind of cinematic excellence people really want to see using AI tools. And I'm proud to be in that space. We are one of the early movers, I would say, who are trying to really handle this problem well of AI production in long form video content as such. And it's good to see the community support that we are getting from it.
Ajinkya, an alumni of IIT Kharagpur, and then get into the creative dynamics of AI filmmaking. How does that happen? How does basically Mixio happens? Wanted to understand that.
Sure. That I usually come from a very unusual unusual background. In a way, my background is very technical and analytical. Like having me and my co-founder, we both are graduates of IIT Kharagpur. We started this company roughly a year back when we decided to sit together and think what are different AI applications that we can get into. My co-founder was a first hire at Vapi, which is a very successful voice AI startup. And luckily, I had AI video research background, not necessarily in film, but AI in video in general. And having looked at the landscape, it was kind of a no-brainer for us to, see where the winds are blowing. And back then, the AI in video models were not really that great. Like if you ask it to generate a person dancing, it would probably hallucinate and give you a random scene, not at all useful. You need to iterate a lot to even find decent 2 to 3 seconds useful video from it. But we did bet on it because we know that the progress of AI models, the way it has been progressing now, it's hardly a matter of 1 year until when we will get a cinematic quality AI video model, which is true now. If you see the C-Dance 2 model that is released by ByteDance, which is a parent company of TikTok, they got sued by Hollywood because it was as good as the way actual Hollywood people act and the director that shoots those videos. And it has been trained. There are lots of legal issues for them, but the technology is already there. And it is being commoditized. It is being easily accessible for people to create Hollywood grade, outer grade cinematic shots and sequences. And this bet that we thought a year ago has totally been paid off. And I think going forward, this will only keep on getting better. There's no going back now. We have certainly reached the inflection point where it using AI first production would be kind of a norm, I would say, than a traditional way of studio. If someone I would say 5 years down the line, if someone actually goes with a camera and does the real life shooting, they would be seen like an outlier of not having explored the AI side of it first.
Well, that's quite a bold statement, and that's quite a the futuristic vision which you just mentioned to me. Immediate questions strike to my head. Very clear. There is a set of traditional filmmaker, and now there is a set of AI filmmaker. If I wanted to make a differentiation between their production, between their approach, and the way they pursue their storytelling, so as a maker, what kind of scenario you are anticipating? What kind of scenario you must have went through? That okay, for example, in traditional television or traditional content making, you follow certain rules of pre-production, production, and post-production. That pretty much exists in AI filmmaking also. But then, what is that one thing which is differentiated? One is cost. People often prefer, the quality we match. So, curious to know your experience with respect to your venture, and then how you are differentiating in this space.
Yes. So to answer it, like I will answer it from two parts, like the way traditional things have been doing so far, and like what really changed. So AI in filmmaking, or for that matter, AI in audio visual content is nothing new. It was already there. Like if you see, since past 10 years, there was some sort of AI that was used in the pre-production and production. For example, be it color grading, be it auto sequencing of shots, like finding the perfect light that can go with it. So in my opinion, I think cinema was never really a real thing. It was always some kind of artificially enhanced thing that should give you a dopamine hit when you see the scene. And that's what the artist or creators or directors vision means. Like they want to relate to their audience. It doesn't need to be the real life imagery that needs to be shown on screen. There will always be some sort of post-production work that will go into like making that content as appealing as possible, right? What really changed now is what it used to be like 3-step process. You go and do production, then you do post production editing, color correction, and all this all thing have been combined into one thing now, wherein you just need to upload your scene image. You just need to tell what needs to be happening in this particular shot, and AI takes care of all of that. And that's a huge time saving, that's a huge cost saving, because now you no longer have to like break it down into 3 separate steps. So that's a very big advantage, I would say, in terms of what AI can give for people. And it certainly has reduced the barrier for creating really good storytelling now. Like
I agree what you just mentioned, but often these comments are also been like heard from various places that at the heart of cinema or content making is emotion, right? But can AI like truly understand the emotion side of the business, or is it just simulating patterns? How you look at this?
Okay, so that's a very good question. Like, can AI really mimic the way, let's say, Nana Patekar acts, or like, for example, all these veteran Hollywood people can act? And to be honest, it's not there yet. I would say it is 70 to 80% there yet, but there are ways to fix that. For example, I can have acting that's being mimicked by an upcoming artist who acts the way like Amitabh Bachchan could acts the way, or have the micro emotions on face the way he does have, and I can transfer that emotions into my AI generated videos. So tools are there, like to fill that gap up. And talking about that 80% of already there, those kind of models, that gap will also like be drastically reduced as we go forward. So the human angle part, human emotions part, I would say is no longer a thing that's being set us back in terms of production. Sure, it's not 100% accurate. There are some mistakes there, but I would say like out of 5 videos that you would be generating, there is a high chance that at least one video will be very close to the kind of human emotions you would expect it to have. So it's still a lot of trial and error in that sense, but I'm very optimistic like that thing.
Sure. I think when I not break as such, but when I see the content and I try to categorize it. For example, ad is one content piece. Promo is one content piece. Documentary is one content piece. Cinema, short film, web series, television content. As an AI content creator, if someone is looking at all these formats in their own in their own style, long format content versus short format content is two different things. Because when supposedly you're doing something AI dubbing in documentary versus actually doing some lip sync exercise on some dialogues, these are two very different gimmicks. How your organization or you as an individual look at these formats and what kind of challenges you are forcing and how you are planning to resolve these also over the period of time?
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, like we are not really focused on short form video content making. The reason because short form video content making doesn't really require the power of excellence that we see in cinematic video. For example, if I have multiple scenes of a same character, his voice shouldn't change. But that's the problem with AI generated videos now. The voice identity doesn't remain consistent. You can see the voice kind of fluctuating midway. And the way we try to do it, there is another AI solution that can, clone up actor's voice and keep it consistent across the shot. So it doesn't matter what the AI generated video voice is, I can always fix that to the voice that I want it to have. And that requires a lot of processing steps than just generating one single video that many short form video content creators don't really look up for, because this thing it's a little more expensive. Second, long form video content making, people usually don't want to sacrifice quality there. By quality, I mean the production quality. But for short form video content, the main concern is speed and cost rather than the quality itself. So our aim is to deliver the best quality out there as possible. And for that, it doesn't matter if it requires like 2 or 3 more sub-processing, post-processing. We are willing to go that extra mile to deliver that quality. Even if it,
yeah. Actually, I think this is so wonderful. Maybe 3 years back, when we are just hearing about AI, and now when an organization like yours is getting full-fledged into content creation with the AI, tremendous changes being observed. These changes are also witnessing a lot of economic dynamics being also changed. What is your take? Now, there are lightmen, there are cameramen, there are different roles which were there. Of course, it still exists. In new avatar, it may exist, but how do you see that shift for these set of people? What is your viewpoint on that? That what they need to acquire quickly? Because for sure, AI is existing. For sure, it is developing. For sure, it is going to play a crucial role. And not just advocating as a user, but can sense it. And for time being, if we keep this scenario for time being, let's say it is not existing. But then what is your viewpoint about this kind of scenario? That how people need to acquire these modules? What is the next step for these people?
I think you are true. Like if we look at the historical adoption of technology in general, there have been cases where certain types of jobs demand went drastically down. But we need to understand it also created new jobs. For example, when in the initial days when computers came in India, there was quite some resistance by typewriters, and even banks were kind of hesitant to adopt it, because it would take so many jobs of people who would actually go and file those documents up. But once this technology was adopted, finally integrated into the ecosystem as such, it created more jobs than it took away the jobs. And I think the same pattern will happen here. Sure, the jobs like light boy or like on production staff, those kind of job would be hard to find in future. But then again, these roles are more like supportive roles. You need to understand these are more like operational roles. There is nothing more creative about these roles in general. Like people don't aspire to be a light boy, they just happen to be a light boy because to meet their ends meet, right? But people do aspire to be a creator, people do aspire to be a storyteller. And having lowered that barrier to entry, what it means is we would see a lot more filmmakers, we'll see a lot more indie filmmakers, we'll see a lot more AI artists as such who are very good at writing those prompts or creating those shots. And we will see this kind of impact in education, that mainstream institutes like FTI or SRFTI are now trying to have AI in their curriculum for pre-production and production. So I think although a certain set of jobs might go down, but there are a lot more jobs that might get opened up, and it's all about adapting to these new changes that people find initial resistance. But once we do overcome that resistance, I think it's a wonderful opportunity as such, and which has been reflected even by our Prime Minister Modi in the recent budget, where he talked about orange economy as such. Like, he wants to give push for the orange economy. Our government want to support more creators. And how will they do that if they are not educated in AI or like new age technology? So it's very crucial to have this technology knowledge being propagated in masses, like to make people more educated and more skilled in using these new tools.
Absolutely. So can we say that AI is not just artificial intelligence, it is artistic intelligence as well?
Yes. That's a really good way to put forward it. Yeah, and I'm a really big proponent of actually against of 100% AI things. I think there always needs to be a human who is using AI tools. And to give you an analogy, like what happens when you completely give in for AI tools, if you see most of the people who work at supermarkets or convenience stores in US or UK, or like most of the developed nations, and if you give them 500 bill note and like just purchase some 5 or 10 amount of item, they still need a calculator to do that math. But for Indians, it's very much obvious, like it's 500 minus 10 rupees, for example. And the reason is that they have lost the ability to do that mental calculation, because they have been so reliant on these tools from a very right age that they have lost that ability. And I don't want that to happen to artists, wherein they could just say something and the really good movie comes out of it without their guidance. I want them to be the storyteller, and I want AI to take the seat of an assistant director, not the director itself, to help them achieve
Absolutely. That. It's very interesting, because ultimately every human being is creative at the core. They have their regional connotation, their cultural nuances, their way of telling their stories, which is inspired by their surrounding. And these tools, AI technology, is ultimately helping them to share their kind of story. One very important question strikes to my head. We keep on talking about the AI creation. We keep on discussing about the possibility. It says that, okay, these videos being created, these videos being developed through these technology and all this. Fine. What about the end customers consuming this thing? So one part of the story is all about who is creator, get certain set of benefit. The other set of the part is the set of people who are consuming this content. Earlier, there was a content created by traditional media. Now, content created by AI techniques, right? That is how the shift also being witnessed in the audience with respect to the emotion, the way we are tackling of creation part. But still, I'm sure there must be difference of opinion of when they are consuming this. How do you see this? That AI generated content, how it's been consumed by the audience? So, maybe your take on this.
Sure. I think a very good example of this would be the rise of microdrama or vertical microdrama content as such, especially in China. In China, they were the first one to revolutionize short form video content like TikTok. Instagram Reels came much after that. Like, it was all about TikTok that people would get so much into short, engaging videos. And then they hopped onto the vertical microdrama trend. And India kind of lags behind in terms of adoption to that. But even then, we are seeing quite a rise in the content, that the short form story content that's being consumed. And the reason I mentioned China is actually leading in terms of the AI generated microdrama content. So for example, there have been one series that just took like 3 weeks of time to produce it, and it made over 15 million US in like 1 month of time. So it makes the distribution side of the things, when we talk about the consumption and distribution time of the side of the things, we need to understand in today's economy, attention is a very scarce resource. Like, it's very hard to get attention of a consumer. And an attention of a consumer cannot be bought by 90 minutes of feature films. It cannot be bought by horizontal format video that they need to tilt their phone when they want to watch it. They're always on the go. People are always on the metro. They're always on the go. Let's say in an elevator or somewhere, like they even while having a dinner or something, a short lunch break, they usually have their phone right beside them and they eat it. And they only got like 1 or 2 minutes of attention to watch one episode. And in traditional sense, it's hard to keep up with the content production pace to match that type of consumption. A user might complete a whole season in like a half an hour session. What happens then? Like, you need to create another season, right? And if you go by the traditional way of producing content at this pace, it's not easy to cope up with this amount of demand that's there in the consumption side of the year. So they need to adopt AI to produce content at this scale, at this velocity.
And also to add to this point, again, you may disagree also with this. Slowly, when there's a lot of different kind of AI content being created, there is a very natural tendency of consuming the content. If something like this is already in the fashion or being consumed in a certain way, obviously audience also tend to take this. Do you want to say that because of this trends are changing, because of the trends like short form content being consumed rapidly, because of the short span of time or the in general not having that patience to watch long format content, is this the trend which is also helping AI to create a lot of new content now, new user generated content? Do you want to mention that part of the business also? Or you believe that
new stories? Like, can you?
One is a new story. One is also the new generated content, because now everyone has this tool. For example, they have created some content. They are now well equipped with their storytelling formats. Now they have some tool to share. Earlier it was not kind of democratized. So AI kind of democratized the overall process, if you say this. And then other side of the story is that now the trends are also keep on changing. Attention span is also less. Then how these all between the intersection point of that the pattern and the scenarios, how do you see Mixio is helping their audience?
Sure. I think talking about the trends, I think one trend that I see often when we partnered with a few studios is, given the democratization of AI tools, it's very easy to catch up on trend. For example, if there is a winning microdrama in China, earlier when you want to create a new story, a production house would do a research, the kind of audience they are creating story for, what would be the cast, what should the whole emotional arc should be, for whom it should be, when should we release it, and so on and so on. And now people don't really do that kind of research anymore. They just pick what's winning in other countries and they're trying to localize it for their own market. And we are seeing the same trend with a few of the OTT platforms for whom we generate the content. I can't take their names, but because it's kind of it soon goes into moral and ethics kind of side. But they do pick winning Chinese microdrama format, and then they produce two versions of it, one for Indian audience and one for US audience, with actual US people and actual US location, but the whole story remains the same. In fact, it is scene by scene copy, the exact scene remains same, and same for the Indian audience. So you see this whenever there is a trend, and it's been true not just for microdrama, I would say it's true for any kind of social media content out there. Any kind of influencer that gets popular, there will be tens of different influencers trying to copy that style. A very good example of that would be a cool girl from India Instagram handle. That girl, she started with 10k followers and only promoting her own jacket and her own brand clothes. And the kind of way she shoots her videos, showing the ordinary side of Mumbai as a city, not like the glamorous side of Mumbai city. And now she has like 500,000 followers in like very short period of time, like 1 or 2 months time. And now there are well-known Instagram influencers who are trying to copy her style of video creation. So that's always the case. Like when you make the creation process itself very easy, it's very easy to make the clone. Like there will be you don't have to like find one winning idea and stick to it. You always need to find the winning ideas in order to stay ahead of the competition.
Moving up with the new trends, which is probably changing, and I think in that scenario, how do you find the AI's role?
Which kind of trends you mean?
Whatever new trends are coming, be it the trends of a quick microdrama, be it the trend related to creating some very interesting music through Suno app, or something like this. So many new things are keep on happening. So how do you see that AI techniques or the tools are making the difference over there? With any relevant example, if you can say.
Yeah. So to give you an example, earlier when like directors or film studios, when they wanted to make a film, they would prepare a pitch deck about the whole movie concept, right? So now they just show a video, like a 1 minute concept trailer video that's completely AI generated. It's not polished, it's nowhere polished, but it gives a really good idea for producer, okay, what this story is about. And I think much more than the actual production, I'm seeing this AI generated trailer creation or like concept creation kind of videos that's gaining a big momentum in India, and those are not meant for public screening. It is only meant to be shared internally. So, and if you don't do that, then it kind of gives a bad reputation for your film studio as such, like you're not trying to keep up with the latest tech out there. I don't want to see 50 pages slide document. I don't have time to read through all of that. Can you just show me a 1 minute video of what your movie concept is about? That's for the movie side of the things. The same thing happens, the same thing happens for other kind of content generation. For example, kids animation show that we are recently trying to do with one of the studio. So they were trying to have this Indian mythological kind of a story that they wanted to show to one producer, and there also they were like, can you just give me like one video song or like 1 minute of content just to establish the universe, the kind of scenes or like the kind of content that it would have. And that gives a really great power for producers to see what kind of content would be generated. We do put in the money, so it's like a sneak peek into the future release of the movie itself, and it's not very difficult to achieve that, and it's very much accessible in that sense.
I can clearly sense the passion for sure. But this also leads to my question to your IIT days. Do you ever think that you will jump into something like this, or that is like out of choice?
Actually, I do have an arts background from home. My mother is a theater actress, and I used to shoot some reel videos for her. So I did knew some camera language, not very professional. It was all through a smartphone photography. But I would say I was more on the consumer side of the art of this cinematography than the producer side of it. What I mean by that is I have watched tons of movies, mostly foreign language movies, all the Oscar nominations when I was in IIT Kharagpur, and I consider myself lucky to have that infra and that much free time there to watch that. And I would like to briefly reflect upon my journey after I graduated. So I was in Japan for 5 years, working in Japan as an AI engineer as well. And I was consuming a lot of Japanese anime content. So Japanese anime has set a bar so high that there are very few countries that could produce animation quality like a Japanese anime. And Japanese anime is not only for children. It can be for all kinds of audience. Like there is no such limitation of it can only be for children. Indians have that perception. When we talk about Japanese anime, the only things that come to our mind is Shinchan or like Doraemon, which are meant for children consumption. But it is much more than that. In fact, the first anime Ramayana was made in 1993. The kind of animation style that movie had, no other Indian cartoon has been even close to that, and that was released with Japanese animation studio for India to celebrate 50 years of diplomatic relations between India and Japan. And they had that take in 1993, and I always wondered what's stopping Indian animators to achieve that level of perfection. And luckily through the way it turned out to be, and now I'm trying to change that through my work at Mixio, like helping Indian studios and Indian animation studio try to achieve that level of perfection through my work.
Amazing. So when you're interacting with studios, when you're discussing production houses, I'm sure there must be a shift being observed that they are very open about the AI. Earlier, maybe different scenario in your initial days of your operations. But now you must be experiencing something different. What is the relatively today's scenario in the production houses business? You are actually interacting with them, and they are looking back to you with some solutions coming from your end.
So when we initially tried to pitch them the AI solution, I think there is a still lot more the industry need to learn about AI. What I mean by that is their AI knowledge comes from social media short form AI videos, like a short snippet of what this new model is capable of. Or they might have seen one of the competitors' ad on Instagram and they think, okay, now this is possible with AI. But that's just a surface level knowledge of what it is actually capable of. And when we try to tell them what it really is capable of, it kind of blows their mind and they think like it's magic or it's something that we are overselling. But it's not overselling, it's actually there. It's just not being discovered by you or like people in the media industry in general, because media industry I would say it comes more from a creative background than the engineering or technical background. And if you see the AI tech as such, it is very much like a cutting edge engineering thing. Like there are very few people who could actually understand what goes behind creating those models or even create those models or train those models. I have been fortunate enough to work in this kind of environment, me and my co-founder, that we can translate the leading edge research into actual production workflows that we can work with. But this and we come from our own set of bias. Like being a technical person, it's hard for me to convince them or like talk to in their language what we really try to mean. So this happens a lot. So we sit with one of our partner studios in Mumbai and they are like, I want to do this. In order to do this, I will do these 10 steps. I will go in Photoshop, I will do this, I will do roto, then I will open nuke, and then this is what the output would look like. The thing is, they don't really know that you don't need to do these 3 steps. There exists an AI model that can go from X to Y in 1 step. But the way they talk, they are used to their workflows. They don't know this thing exists there. And it's our job to tell them what it exists or the way it should be communicated. So we have trained those teams. Just tell me this is the starting point, this is the ending point that needs to be happened. Don't tell me what goes in between that. And it is a high chance that there is an AI model to achieve that. If not, we'll try to create one. So this communication gap is something very obvious, I would say, that we are trying to fill, and we are learning from them as well, like how to communicate in a manner that is not very intimidating for them. Because when we talk that you don't need this kind of 3 steps or you don't need to learn nuke or any kind of software, they get intimidated by it. Like, oh, does it mean all my 10 years of experience has gone? Why did I study this software? If this can be done by AI, there was no need for me to go to this school or like do this all things. And that's the reason they are quite hesitant sometimes to even talk about it. But we could feel that fear. We could, and it's we tried to tell them, be lucky that you are the first one to try it out. You're not the last people. You are the early adopter. So you can adapt to it much earlier than the whole industry itself. That gives some relief to them. But yeah, creative people in general feel very much intimidated by AI in that sense.
I mean, I have last 2 questions, and the second last one comes from straight from the heart. What about that innocence of storyteller? Because now AI is giving everything, frankly speaking, and with new models and new adoption, so many new things are happening. Don't you feel that at the core, the creator is now more dependent on all these techniques rather than actually going to the traditional way of creating that story which he or she gets inspired from the surrounding? Do you sense that this is this way the AI is completely dominating that innocence part also? Or do you think that this anyway exists, AI is just giving an additional support to that expressing that emotion? How do you look at this?
I think like if you try to break down what really goes behind a really good movie, for example, I would say the screenwriting or the writing part of that story itself holds a lot of weight rather than the creation part. Obviously, creators or like directors' journey also matters, the kind of experience they can put into the movie. But the writer's job is something very important, and I think it's still quite hard for AI to grab those emotions in terms of writing, in terms of capturing those emotions in a book or a script, for example. And the reason I would tell that is AI, the way AI models nowadays work, they try to mimic what's already out there. they will try to mix and match what's already been written. But for them, it's very difficult to come up with a very good concept of a movie that could touch upon a lot of people, because AI haven't experienced that experience. It has read about that experience. Having read about something and having experience by yourself is a very different thing. For example, having a new child born, that experience can only be known once you have a child or once you lose someone. And how to fit that narration into a movie, or like the script, how to show that onto someone's face. It's very difficult to capture that. And I think writers in general would be very much in demand even after AI adoption. Although ChatGPT has been there for quite some time now, and they use that to refine their writing style rather than creating the original idea by themselves itself. And even we at Mixio, we are not really handling up on the writing part or the script writing part. We assume you have the perfect script ready, and then we take the pre-production, production onwards. But having that originality when you talk about, I think it's very important for humans to express that feeling in words. And I would say AI has not been able to do a really great job there yet.
Interesting. The very important on that note, probably I'll take your final comment also on this.
Sure.
At the intersection of technology and creativity, commitment, possibility, and most importantly, delivering something which connects the heart. We have our AI. And at the other side, if I say, there is a consumer who is consuming this content innocently and trying to make also simultaneously something interesting. So between these two set of people, what is your message? What is your final comment that you want to give it to the upcoming filmmaker, the production houses, or whoever are into the content ecosystem? How AI is actually going to differentiate?
I think like my job as a technology first company is to lower that barrier to get into this art as much as I could. But what happens when you make content creation so cheap that anyone can create a content, then how would they stand out? And I think it's only the matter of taste. Like, there have been so many movies out there, but the kind of movies that, let's say, James Cameron produces, he has a taste in a movie, the style that he has chosen to adopt over his professional years of experience. And that's what would differentiate between a mediocre or an average content producer and someone really good content producer. AI is just a tool. AI is not the complete picture in itself. The tool is only good as the human who is using it. So once that barrier is reduced, I would say try to create as much movies or as many videos as you can and try to improve upon that. And luckily for you, that speed of iteration now would be much higher than it would have been in traditional ways. The amount of years of experience it took for James Cameron to reach this level of craft, I would say it would be like less than half if the next generation of James Cameron would come up, because he would be AI first adopter. He would produce much more movies than a James Cameron would have done so far. So just go out there, create it, see what clicks to people, and try to do that more often. And you have all the tools out there now.
Amazing. That's fantastic, Ajinkya. Actually, guy who is from IIT Kharagpur, work in Japan, now working with the talented bunch of people who are aiming to differentiate the AI space in the space through AI, of course. I wish you all the best, and thank you very much for joining Viewpoint with MediaShippers, and wishing you all the best. Thank you.